And this is just my rookie year. They ended up bringing me back, and then I ended up playing.
Did it feel a little bit like a boyfriend that like messed up? It's like
I thought about some things.
No,
Listen,
usually I'm the one leaving people.
Hey, let's go. Let's go. Welcome to Coach 'em Up. I'm here with Zach Zillner, as always, and we're joined today by a very special guest. So we're super excited to have Sydney Carter.
Hello.
Sydney, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Ready to coach him up.
Listen,
Let's go.
we need you to coach us up.
Yeah.
She kind of already has been, really. She's running the show.
Off camera.
Yeah. Sydney, you know, I know who you are, not as well as Zach. Zach knows you very well. Y'all work together.
I'm the work husband.
But yes, work hubby. I'm jealous. For anyone who doesn't know you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got here with us today?
All right, how much time do I have? I'm just kidding. Well, I am a retired basketball player. I am a national champion. I went to Texas A&M University when I was... This was a long time ago. Okay, I don't want to throw my age out there. But yeah, so I started playing basketball at a young age, played in college, played overseas, played in the WNBA, and now I am in Austin, an Aggie in Austin.
Longhorn for life. Longhorn for
You
life.
didn't even go.
Hey. What I want to get into is I think people don't realize how much of a hooper you were back in college. I've seen film. Junkyard dog over here.
That's the real deal.
She would guard the best player, just tenacious defense.
Let's go.
Tell us a little bit about your time at A&M and kind of when you were a freshman, all wide-eyed, and then, you know, to your national championship run.
Yeah, so when I was a freshman, a lot of people don't know that I started off not playing. Like the first couple of games, like he didn't put me in.
Was that because you were just a freshman type?
It's a learning curve.
Yeah.
Like, you know how like nowadays, like people are talking about Caitlin Clark, like it's going to be a learning curve. Like she just had her first game, still a good game. She had 20 points, but she had 10 turnovers because it's a learning curve.
Facts.
But it was a learning curve for me. Like I was not ready when you in hindsight. And then all of a sudden I got like my chance. I played in a game and our other point guard that was starting got in foul trouble. Mm-hmm. And then he put me in and I had 20 points and a game winner.
What?
Yeah.
Game one?
That first game.
That's crazy.
Who was that against? Give us where was the shot, all that.
I just remember that it was at Pepperdine in a tournament. I don't remember who we were playing.
And it was in a tournament?
Yeah, it was in a tournament. So that's how my freshman year went. And I went to not playing to splitting minutes with the starting point guard that year. And then after that, sophomore to senior year, I was a 3-year captain. Wow. And then I just kept getting better ever since. And I was starting a little bit as a sophomore. And then as a junior and senior, I started every game after that. But yeah, my journey was like a little like deer in headlights to like this person that they can't do without. And so that was the thing that I prided myself on. Like, I just wanted to be, what can I do that was different?
Yeah.
Than what everybody else brought to the table so that coach could say, I have to have her on the floor. Like that was what kind of kid I was. I was going to do whatever it took for me to play.
So you were high effort.
Yeah, I was high everything. Like, and the thing about me was I was not one dimensional. Like, very rarely do you see guards that can play the 2 and then go over to the 1 and still run an offense and run it well. And that was the difference between me. I think that's why I was successful as a pro, because like I could do both.
Yeah, it's versatility.
But I played on both ends. I could shoot the ball really well. I was a good screener. Like I paid attention to the details on offense, angles and all that. And then I was going to guard the best player. It didn't matter if I was 5'6" and they were 6'5". Like I played really big. So,
you know, that guarding the best player, you know, going from not starting to 20 points in a game winner, that to me screams a certain mentality.
Yeah. It's stay ready so you ain't got to get ready.
Love that. Preach. Love it. And to that, you know, so Zach and I were obviously strength coaches. I'm interested to know a little bit about how you attacked the weight room and how you attacked your time off the court and how that translated and helped you on court.
Yeah, so I stay away from the weight room now because that can't dangle candy to get me in there.
I've tried.
But I attack the weight room differently because I was so skinny. I was very tiny back then, and so I needed to have the strength to be able to, like, I was attacking the rim all the time, so I needed to be able to withstand the contact.
And being the defender like that, you got.
So I had to like get strong, and like that was like where I got like, it's not necessarily where I got all my toughness, but like that's where I like felt invincible, like literally in the weight room. So like you look back at pictures, like I was cut up, I was buff, I was
you'd kill for these arms, man.
Yeah. Like
why I'm honestly devastated that we didn't have these pictures prepared. I'm about to pull it up on my computer.
Pull them up, man.
Listen, that is dope.
I was ripped.
Yeah. You loved it?
I did because like,
because most hoopers, it's like, because we talk about it from time to time, now I feel like it's shifted a little bit, but traditionally hoopers in the weight room, it's like oil and water. You know what I mean? Like,
well, you hear a lot of women say, I don't want to look like a man. Like, you don't have the genetic makeup to look like a man.
Yes.
But you need the weight room in order to be successful on the court. And so like a lot of people, don't understand that, but you need it. So like I was there every day. I was getting it done.
That's what I'm talking about.
Zach's ideal.
Yeah, exactly. The gym rat.
Yes.
So graduating, you left the national champion. Tell us about your pro career.
So yeah, it was full of ups and downs. I dealt with a lot of rejection. I dealt with some yeses as well. But my time in the WNBA, like when I got drafted, when you get drafted in the third round, they don't expect you to make the team. They don't expect you to have a career. Like that's not what people see.
Can you talk a little bit about that with basketball? Because me coming from a football background, I didn't realize until I started working in NBA combine prep that if you're not going in the first round or second round,
good luck.
You're in trouble. Can you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, they count you out a little bit. It's like, okay, well, maybe like you're just there to like, because they have to draft somebody. You don't want to think like that. You don't, as a person that's getting drafted, that's not how you're thinking. Like that wasn't my mentality. I was like, it's my team to make.
Right.
Instead of not my team to make. I went to training camp that year. I was drafted in the third round. I went to Chicago and I got cut from camp. I was the very last cut, which was hard because I was that close.
Brutal.
And I got cut like right after a preseason game. I was like, come on, man.
After a game?
After a game.
That's wild.
New York. I had to catch a flight back to Chicago.
They didn't even let you fly back.
I couldn't, man. I had to fly back.
That's crazy.
So... that was my first experience with like total rejection. And so it's easy to get defeated by that. And so you're like, okay, well, do I belong here? And then they ended up bringing me back that year. And this was just my rookie year. They ended up bringing me back and then I ended up playing.
Did it feel a little bit like a boyfriend that like messed up? It's like
I thought about some things.
Listen,
usually I'm the one leaving people.
Hey, let's go. Let's go.
But yeah,
Sydney Carter's a confirmed heartbreaker. Take notes.
Hey.
Yep.
It takes what it takes.
It takes what it takes.
It takes what it takes to find the right one.
That's right.
So that was how my rookie year went, and then I went on. I had some more no's after that. But then I ended up making teams. I ended up playing, had some really good seasons of the WNBA, and then decided at some point, like, I was going to need some rest because the WNBA ends, like, right after the summer's over, like, right into fall. And then you may have, like, 3 days before you have to go to an overseas team because those seasons start out. Yeah, there's no break time.
No break. Like 3 days, like you got to pack your stuff, and you sometimes don't even know what country you're going to or anything.
Correct. Like,
and your agent tells you, like,
hey, Latvia,
be there.
Yeah. So
I did not know that the turnaround was that quick.
Oh, yes. I mean, some people will be generous and give you like a week. But after
that's nuts.
Yeah, after that, it's like off to a new country for 9 months.
I want to know more about what it was like going overseas. But before we go there, you talked about some of those rejections and getting those no's. Two things. One, what did you learn from the rejection and the no's? And then how did you stay on track? Because I've seen it where athletes get no's and it just strips them of their confidence. And it's really hard for them to get back to being that dude or that woman.
Yeah, I mean, I think I learned very early that, like, what God has for me is not going to pass me. So, like, this is just not the situation for me.
Yeah.
And I think to the back end of that, it's like, this does not mean that I'm not good enough. There's so many limited spots in the WNBA. This doesn't mean that I'm not a part of the 144 that's good, because I believe in my own ability.
Right.
So I really learned to tap into self-confidence and self-worth at that point and realize, like, I'm a damn good basketball player. Like, this does not define my career, and I will be back. And so I developed like the utmost confidence in that time in my life, because like I needed to have a sort of like, not necessarily a wall, but I needed to have something built up to be able to deal with when I get hurt, told no, what's going to be my response? Am I going to let it defeat me, or am I just going to be like, okay, well, I'm going to prove you wrong.
Right.
So that was
It's happening like to me versus for me.
Yeah.
Like, you could have been a victim and been like, they don't like me.
Yeah.
But instead you're like, bet, hold my beer.
Right.
I'm going to train for
Hold
a
my
little
beer.
bit. Yeah.
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 And then going overseas, where all did you go? And what was your most fun place you lived in?
So I ended up, the good thing about me is I was in good situations. Like I played in Israel first, and then I played in Latvia, but I signed multiple year deals in Latvia. So I only played in those two places, but I played in some of the best leagues like Euro League, Euro Cup. And so you're playing all over in Spain, Italy, France, like you're playing in all those places. And so I've literally played all over except Australia. But it was, my situation was like perfect. Like I never got paid late. You deal with like late pay. You deal with the language barrier. It's insane. Now, very rewarding experience. Loved my time over there. I'm like a very chill person. Like I went to the store, practice, home when I was in Latvia. In Israel, I was partying it up. It's very Americanized over there.
I was about to say, it's, I think people, unless you talk to someone who's been, or you have firsthand experience, people don't know that.
Yeah, it's
lit.
Yeah. I mean,
There's like celebrities over there too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. Now, it was scary my first year, but when you're in the Tel Aviv area, or when you're like 10 minutes out, you're living. But my favorite place, this is tough. I've done like some stuff like for camps. Crete, Greece. I didn't play there, but I visited there.
Was it beautiful?
And I did a basketball camp there, and it was gorgeous. The bluest water I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But playing, if I had to give you a favorite place, it's probably Latvia.
Yeah.
It was cold, but
whatever.
yeah,
Got you.
it was easy living for me.
Yeah.
What was
that's what I like.
so like going, okay, so you have A&M experience, you have WNBA experience, and then you're playing ball in Europe. In terms of like what you were getting from like a coaching perspective, a training perspective, was it better? Was it worse? I'm interested to know.
Overseas was very different because they think that they know more. Like I remember being in the weight room, and he used to tell me that my like the structure and like my form was not correct, and I'm like,
Hold up.
I don't know about this. And I ended up having an injury overseas.
Trying to do it that way?
Yes.
Damn.
And so that's the difference. So I think in America, just because I'm American, probably. It's
no bias here whatsoever.
No.
But it was just
Big
better
shout out, America.
Yeah. USA. But it was just better over here because I feel like everybody feels like there's room for them to grow over here. At least the people that I came in contact with. Over there, it seemed very much my way. This is right. Americans don't know nothing.
Right.
Which is weird because we invented the game.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yes. Like first of all,
Come on.
buddy.
So
You heard it here first.
playing time, eventually runs out. We all get older, need to move on.
Yeah.
When was the point where you're like, I'm done running wind sprints, I'm done playing, like it's ready for my next chapter?
So I got hurt, and I ended up getting stem cell and plasma injections. 10 out of 10, don't recommend.
I was about to say, can I pause and talk about myself for a minute?
Yeah, come on, talk about yourself.
Can I?
Yeah.
Look, all right. So I've got a shoulder thing going on.
Okay.
So and stem cells are recommended. We've got someone. He does a wonderful job. However, the feedback I've gotten from people who've gotten it, it's either it works or it don't work at all.
See, it worked for me, but it was painful.
Oh.
Very painful because you have to take the marrow from your back inject that into your knee for the stem
That's
cell.
what I'm saying. He was like, yeah, we're just going to pull the marrow from XYZ. And I said, we're going to pull what? Where? From
Yeah,
where?
yeah.
With what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the injection site in the knee was, I can remember screaming
Oh,
and then
boy.
going home and crying after
Oh,
the fact
no.
because it hurt so bad.
Can you still see needles to this day, or is it PTSD?
I don't, like, I was on the hospital bed for a COVID shot, okay? Like, I don't want to
can't do it.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
So it did work.
it did work. Like,
Okay.
I still have a little pain every now and then, but I think it's because I don't do anything.
Occasionally she'll get up and down the court after a loose ball, or
I'll have to giddy up
Yeah.
to go get a ball. But I realized that it was time for me to hang it up when I did not want to wake up and do what it took me to get to the point that I was at before I got hurt. I was at the top of my game at that point. And I didn't want to cheat the game of basketball. Like, basketball has done so many things for me. It's still doing things for me to this day.
Sure.
But I was not going to cheat the game if I woke up and I'm like, why do I have to go work out? Like, when you get to that point and you don't want to do it anymore, you have to realize it's time to let it go.
Right.
So I was like, and I'm big.
Was
on
it difficult?
trainers.
Was it difficult for you to let it go in the regard that it was like, you know, because there's one thing to like accept, you know, hey, it may be time to move on, but then transitioning.
That was the lowest part of my life. Letting it go.
I bet it's your whole identity.
I don't even want to get emotional, but you just think back
Yeah,
to that time.
of course.
It's the lowest point in my time. I've never told this story before, but like went back to my mom's house
Yeah.
at like 28. So I'm living back with my mom.
You're like a grown ass woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't have basketball anymore. I knew I wanted to coach, but like you don't know where you're going to get your start. You don't know
Sure.
who's going to give you a chance. So I'm grateful that Coach Blair at A&M gave me a chance. But very, very, and COVID came during that time.
Damn.
The year after that, yeah. COVID comes. So now I'm at home. I'm like everybody's trying to figure out life,
Yeah.
you know, at that point. So when you retire from something you've had all your life and then COVID comes, it's like, how much lower can I get?
Yeah.
Right.
I was very, very depressed at that time. But once again, basketball to the rescue. I got a job at A&M, and then it got me out of it. And then I was practicing every day when I got to A&M. I was like, okay, hold on. I'm like,
throwback. Maybe I still love it.
Knees feeling kind of good today. Yeah.
Well, I actually almost had a chance to go back to my last.
Really?
And then I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah, play another year. Like
There's no point.
So you're in this low spot, and you're back home with your mama, and COVID, and then you transition. Now you're back with A&M. So did coach reach out to you? Did you reach out to coach? How did the...
I was very proactive. I started going back to A&M and just sitting in people's offices so that I could see what it took.
she's a gamer, man.
She just
Telling
gets
you.
it. So this
Yeah.
is someone who just gets it.
Yeah, she gets it. You're gonna have to
just
put in
gets
some
shit
effort
done.
to have things
Yeah.
happen for you.
Because I was like, they're not going to know that I'm serious about this unless I show them. And so I sat in everybody's office just to see how they break down film when they're getting a game ready for a scout. I practiced with the team, so I gave my time physically,
Yeah.
and I gave it mentally, and so that was the separator for me. I felt like Coach Blair at that time knew, like, okay, she understands this ain't no 9 to 5,
Yeah.
because she's doing it now and she doesn't have to.
Ain't even-
She's not getting paid to do
Yeah.
this, so I was working for free.
So like when you started doing that, did you do it knowing ahead of time that's like coaching is where I want to be, or was it something where you're just like, I just know this is where I belong, and then coaching grew on you?
No, I knew I was going to coach. I knew I was
Okay.
going to coach when I was young. I wanted to be a teacher, and then as I grew up,
I see.
I knew that the thought of being a teacher came from me wanting to help young people.
Hmm.
And so then I'm a talker.
You got brothers and sisters?
I got 4 sisters,
Oh, yeah.
2 brothers.
Are you the oldest?
No, I'm the 5th of 7.
Whoa.
So she's an underdog.
Yeah.
That explains the hustle on defense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I knew that I was going to be a coach when I realized the leadership skills I had when I was playing in college.
Yeah.
I knew that was my calling.
I mean, Sid is someone in practice. When she talks, everyone's, well,
At attention.
at least I am. So when you got hired on at A&M, what was your role? And then what all did that entail?
Yeah, so I started off as video coordinator, which everybody thinks, that's like, you just cut up some video and then you're done. No. I made sure I had my hands in everything. So just because I was doing it before I got a job, I didn't stop doing it. So like I was on the court helping with workouts. Like I was so nervous to do my first like individual workout with the kid because you want it to be good. And then that's when I realized, okay, one of the best kids on the team gave me a chance to work her out. And she was like, all right, let's do this every day. So I was cutting up video. I was making highlight tapes for kids that are like all Americans. I was helping with like scouting, and then doing all the off-campus stuff, like all their housing, helping with camps. Like I was literally doing everything. I was like, I want to learn it all. I'm just going to be a sponge. And so that's what I was doing. I was literally doing it all.
You sound like coach / agent /
That's everything, man.
Like for
Renaissance
real.
woman.
Well, what did you so you're spending all this time cutting up tape, putting highlight reels together. Did that help you as a coach, spending all that time watching all that film like that in that role? Because
absolutely,
I'm sure.
Because coaching, a lot of it, especially when you're doing your own scout, like I take pride in not needing anybody to do anything for me. Like when you're coding a game, like now you've developed your own system, like what works the best for you, how quickly you can get things done. Like there's nothing, and I have a lot to learn still, but there's nothing as far as video goes. And when I'm cutting up film and scouting, there's nothing that I don't know how to do. And that was the thing that I pride myself on the most, is that when I got here to Texas, it wasn't something that I haven't seen before.
Right.
Because I had already done it all. So I'm just learning new stuff at this point.
She legit, I think it was like West Virginia we were coming back from. What was the flight? We got super delayed. We got back like 3 a.m. or whatever.
I think it was West Virginia.
Yeah, but she gets on the plane and everyone else is like obviously going to go to bed. And I sit next to her on the plane. I hear this clacking on the keyboard. She's just cutting up everything. And she's like doing that game and then working like weeks ahead. And her knowledge of like, she'll like show me a clip like I know what I'm looking at. And it's just cool to see like someone who's used these skills as a thankless position and now it comes in handy to eventually, like, I assume you want to be a head coach. Like those are all going to come into play.
Yeah. I mean, and it, like a lot of people, especially like when I was at A&M, I had a girl underneath me, and I hate to say it, but a lot of the times you see people that don't want to help the people underneath.
Yeah.
It's kind of just like learn on your own, catch up. I took the time to teach her. Her name was actually Sydney too. Sydney Ann's her name. She works at Alabama now, but she was just an intern. And I took her under my wing and like let her know, like I called her my assistant. Like I was always constantly uplifting her. And every time I was doing something, I was like, hey, this is what we're doing. Now I want you to kind of do your own. It's a mock one, but I want you to do your own.
Kind of nudging out the nest.
I was literally putting her in uncomfortable positions so that she could learn. So that was another thing. Like if I learn this, now I can help teach other people that are wanting to do it, because you just don't see that a lot these days.
No, I feel like we call it, like with our assistants, we call it like head coach mentality. Like Caitlin, our assistant, I'm always like, you should show up every day and pretend you're the head coach. Like I don't even exist. So like what things would you need to do every single day to make sure the lift's going right, meetings with athletes and coaches are going right. And that way when you do get your first gig, you're not all like, oh shit, I've never done this before.
Yeah, Caitlin, shout out to Caitlin.
Shout out to Caitlin. Yeah. The Coach 'em Up podcast is sponsored by Squat Wedgies. Tim, what are Squat Wedgies?
Squat Wedgies are an adjustable squat wedge, 7, 13, and 20 degrees.
It's big enough to elevate your whole foot and not just your heel.
Because it's rubber, it doesn't slide on surfaces.
It's 22 pounds, so it's durable and stable enough for even your biggest athletes.
There's a 90-day risk-free trial. The shipping is free, and
get 15% off Squat Wedgies with our discount code CoachEmUp15.
Coach 'em Up 15 for 15% off of the best squat wedge on the planet. Coach 'em Up is proud to be sponsored by Plyomat. Plyomat is a jump mat that measures ground contact times, vertical jump height, and reactive strength index.
Plyomat's trusted by over 750 coaches in 25 different countries.
It's something that you can use in training day in and day out to give immediate feedback and drive output and intent.
Plyomat's always in stock. When you order your Plyomat, you can get it within 1 to 3 business days and start your training immediately.
If you get a group of athletes challenging each other to jump higher, get off the ground quicker, it transforms that workout into a highly competitive, highly potent stimulus.
If you would like access to the best jump mat on the planet, use CoachEmUp5 to get 5% off at checkout.
Again, code CoachEmUp5 for 5% off. Come jump with us, get a Plyomat. You mentioned, getting to Texas, you felt like you were prepared because it wasn't nothing you hadn't seen before.
Yeah.
Can you talk about how you got from A&M to Texas? Like, talk about the arc there and how you ended up at Texas.
Yeah, so Coach Schaefer was the associate head coach when I was at A&M. And him and I were like this. He was the one that taught me how to play defense the way that I played, like coach with such a intensity that like I was like, I cannot let him down. Like I would run through a brick wall for him if he asked me to. I can literally remember him asking me during a game, guarding Skylar Diggins, who was one of the best players to ever play.
She's a dog.
Guarding her in the national championship game, he was like, I want you to guard her ass. And I said, I'm on it.
Oh, God. That got me ready to run through a wall, man.
So that's the type of relationship we had. And so he stayed all 4 years throughout college. And then when I graduated, he went and got a head coaching job at Mississippi State. Okay. So I appreciated that. I appreciated that he stayed true to the connection that we had to stay, because he could have gone and gotten a head coaching job before I graduated.
Wow.
And then I went back to A&M. And so obviously I kept in touch with Coach Schaefer throughout the whole time that I was gone playing overseas for 7-8 years. And then I called him up when Coach Blair retired my last year. I was 2 years at A&M. Coach Blair retired. I called Coach Schaefer up, or he actually called me up right before I went to the Final Four that year. And he was like, got a job? And I was like, you offering me one? He was like, call me back after the Final Four and we'll talk. And I went to the Final Four and I had a lot of people interested in hiring me.
Yeah.
The day I landed from the Final Four, Coach Schaefer calls me and he said, did you get a job? And I said, well, I had a ton of offers, Coach Schaefer, but like, want to know why you're calling me? He said, well, let me be the first to offer you a job. I said, I'm coming to Texas.
Let's go.
Wow.
Yeah. Because I knew I wanted to work for him.
Right. What about him as a person? Because you mentioned that you'd run through a brick wall for him, and you have a lot of admiration and respect for her.
Yeah.
You know, the way he showed up in your life and was committed to you.
Yeah.
So what are the qualities about him that it's like, because it takes a lot for someone, there's a few people in my life that I feel the same, alliance to, the same loyalty to. What are the qualities about him that made that so attractive?
I mean, I think that was the biggest thing, though. It was like he understood what it took to get me to do what he was asking me to do the hardest I could do it. And so I knew that he had the recipe for success.
Yeah.
And so all my life I've been a part of winning. Like if you ask my mom, I've always wanted to be first at everything. And Coach Schaefer has done nothing but win. Like he took the worst program at Mississippi State and turned it into someone that played in the national championship 2 years in a row.
That's nuts.
Yeah, they were like the worst SEC team.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
They did that in
They were the worst.
Yeah.
Bro, I did not know that shit.
Yeah.
That is really incredible. I didn't know he did that.
He's like, everyone told me not to take the job.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you know him, it's kind of like similar to us. If you tell us not to do something, then I'm definitely going to do it.
Right.
But
he was getting told it was career suicide.
Whoa, what a dog.
Yeah.
Pun intended, Mississippi State.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
But I knew he had the recipe to winning, and I want to win. And so that was
no brainer.
No brainer, yeah.
How has your role changed from when you first stepped on campus at UT to now where you're at now with, coaches, players? Like, where do you see yourself integrated into the team?
Well, I think a lot of the kids respect my voice, but they also respect that, like, I care about them as people. Like, I'm not going to get into preaching and everything here, but that is so critical.
It is.
In a young athlete's life is, do you care more about what I can do for you, or do you care about that and the fact that, like, I'm still a human being outside of this? So, like, all of a sudden they respect, all the basketball knowledge that I have, what I can do for them, like, on the court and all that stuff. But I think the biggest thing that I take away every day is making sure that I have an open door policy and I'm always available for them. They can call me at 4 a.m. if they're in trouble, and they know that I'm going to show up.
Right.
And I'm not going to judge. I'm just going to help.
Right.
And so that's the biggest thing for me, is making sure they know I'm there.
What advice would you give to young coaches that are, trying to get into that relationship piece? Because I feel like a lot of young coaches misconstrue that as just like, I just need to be cool and likable.
Yeah. No, you got to draw a line.
Yeah.
You're not their friend.
Right.
At the end of the day.
So important.
And a lot of, I don't think any kid on our team thinks I'm their friend, but they know that I'm going to be honest with them. And they know that when it's time for me to coach, I'm serious.
Yeah.
When we're playing around, I'm playing around, but there's a line and they know not to cross that, and there's a respect there.
How do you set those boundaries and how do you uphold them? Because
you got to be straight up. Like, you got to say, look, I'm not your friend, but do I have your best interest in mind? Yes.
Yes.
We can be cool. We can laugh. We can do all these things, but trust and believe when I say, on the floor, I don't have time to play.
Yeah.
So like, this is serious business. I'm trying to help you go where you're telling me you want to go. So allow me to coach you, and then allow me to, be lighthearted with you and all those other things off the floor, because that's my personality. I'm a funny gal. I can do stand up today if you want me to. But they know that, they respect that, because I'm very transparent. I'm very upfront.
I think that honesty
when you
goes
show
a long
up
way.
as a person, like on the very first day, however you show up, that's who you gotta be.
Yeah.
'Cause if not,
God.
and you start changing up,
Yup.
People are confused. They don't know who they're going to get.
Who is this?
Well, I think to your point, like, I think people who don't have, and this probably transcends coaching, but if you don't have a strong sense of self and a strong sense of what's important to you and what's valuable and the role that you provide other people in your lives, I think it's easy, because you really don't have any other option but to show up as an inauthentic version of yourself, So it sounds like to me, for you, the lesson here is like, if you're 100% authentic, because especially these athletes, they spend more time with you than their families.
Oh yeah, all the time.
You know what I'm saying?
You are their-
People are gonna figure it out. You know what I'm saying? If you're all rah and you're not really about, what you're saying, and you're not really living who you are, you know what I mean?
Yep.
They know.
Yeah, they do. They can read right through it.
Yep.
Blood and water, and they're sharks.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
He's a shark.
I'm doing the bite.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
Well, I think we really need to hit this topic, which everyone's probably going to want to know about. Let's rewind a little bit to A&M.
Okay.
I need to know about the pink pants. We need to talk about the pink pants.
Those pants.
Tell us the pink pants scandal, kind of what that, like in the moment, what happened, what was going through your mind, and then what it's kind of done for you, I guess.
All right. So the pink pants. There's a pink game every year. Okay. There's two, really, because you dress up for the opponent's pink game and you dress up for yours at home.
Okay.
I had two pink things that year. I had already made up my mind I was going to wear a pink pinstripe window pane suit to the home game. So the pink pants was all I had left. Okay. I had bought these pants 2 years in advance. I put them on for the game. Wowed the crowd, okay? Every once in a while they saw me in Kentucky.
Sydney's got some great fits if you've been living under a rock.
Let's go.
But I remember someone even saying, well, I won't say his name. He's like, oh, those jeans are painted on.
Yeah.
And I was like, Title IX.
Yeah.
Title IX. But I wore the pants. The next day, I wake up, my phone's running hot. It's just buzzing off the charts because someone, and I can't even remember the guy's name, but someone asked, was my outfit appropriate to coach in a game? And I posted the photos like I
You weren't
do
hiding
all the
from it,
time.
yeah.
He asked that, it went viral. The next thing you know, a week later, Good Morning America's coming to shoot me at an away game at Ole Miss. They're following me around all day. And then it just went from there. So many people wanted me to be on their podcast, this, and this.
Yeah.
And since then, I have turned it into a brand and a business. And I'm still PTSO every game.
Let's freaking go.
So when that first happened, like you wake up, you see the tweet, there's obviously positive feedback, negative feedback. Was it something where you're like, oh no, what have I done? Or like, were you worried? Like, I feel like if ever I get
what was your
three
first
mentions,
reaction?
I'm freaked out. Yeah.
You see the phone.
Naturally, you think, what is going on?
Yeah.
What the hell?
Like, what did I do? Because
I didn't play in the game and hit the game winner.
Right. So then when you see that, and then it's like, okay, this is ridiculous.
Right.
Like, well, since when have I ever been the subject of if I'm wearing something appropriate? I had my fingernails out and my toenails out. Like I had on pants and a turtleneck.
Right.
So you couldn't see anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I definitely was like, okay, what is this? And this, of course, my family, I got 4 sisters who are a pack of wolves.
Yeah.
They're all like, I'm getting ready to,
Yeah.
Twitter about to be gone. And I was like, we don't care, guys.
Yeah.
Like, leave it alone. And then after that, it was kind of like I said, Good Morning America, Yahoo, all these people, news outlets, coming to me and asking me about it. And I was just like, you know what? This is my time to lead. I am not going to talk about the negative aspect. People were like, she needs to get fined. She needs to get fired.
That is
like,
nuts.
For showing my nails.
Yeah,
Right.
For what?
But I was like, you know what? I'm not paying attention to this negativity because I know I didn't do nothing wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
So this was just someone's unsolicited opinion and I could care less.
How did you, so waking up to that and then going from, you know, seeing your phone blowing up like that, the storm, social media storm surrounding it, and then going to being on Good Morning America, like how the hell did you navigate all that?
I don't know, honestly.
I love the honesty. That's a lot, girl.
That's a big show.
It was a-
Biggest
that's
show in
the
world.
biggest damn
Yeah.
show. That's crazy.
It was a lot, and I didn't.
it's not
have
as big as Coach 'em Up podcast. I mean, come on. But,
Correct. It's the biggest thing on, not on TV.
right, that's right.
I didn't have an agent at that time,
Okay.
so it was just the sports information director at A&M, and he was like, "I got so many people
Bless
hitting
his
me
heart.
up right now. The morning show.
You had
Good
him
Morning
working.
America." He was like, "Well, which one do you want? Because you can't do both because they're competing." And I was like, "Good Morning America."
Yeah.
You know, I was just any, mini, money, mo.
Wow.
So yeah, I had to use discretion on who was reaching out
Sure.
to try to tell the negative story or the positive story, and God bless, I picked the right people that wanted to focus on the positive
Incredible.
story. But it was a lot.
So with you being such a fashion icon,
Oh, come on.
did the pink pants kind of open the door for you to explore your more creative side, or was this something like you've wanted to do but just didn't know how to go about it as far as, you know, displaying the way that you like to dress on game days?
Yeah, I think the pink pants opened the door for me. I've always had the creative side. I've always known, like, I'm always going to put my best foot forward. But it allowed the opportunities to come to me because you don't know how to go and get the things that I have been able to do. But now they're coming my way. And so it's just really made it easy for me to have the door open and say, okay, like I've always wanted to do this. Now I'm getting the opportunity. So now I can bask in it. So thank goodness I have an agent because
How crazy is life?
even just last year, like I had to write her and I was like, I can't handle, I need an agent. I can't handle all
Yeah.
this. Here you go.
to help.
Life is life.
I mean, you literally, you're like, you weren't even thinking about it. You're like, I like these pants.
Yeah.
You go to the game. And then from there, now, like, fast forward years later, and the branding you've been able to build, fashion line.
Yeah.
Girl, what the fuck?
I know.
That is incredible.
I'm still, and like, there's so many more things I'm working on. Like, I'm going to the ESPYs soon.
Tell me, fill us in. What I need to know all the
All
information about-
exclusive.
Oh, I was like, dang.
I mean, I got invited to go to the ESPYs.
Incredible.
So my agent just called me one day. She said, all right, you're going to the ESPYs. I said, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm going to be best dressed too.
Yeah.
Damn right.
Is it would it potentially be the time to bring the same pink pants out of retirement for the
If I
ESPYs?
could fit them, yeah. I'm telling you, those are getting framed with the date on them, and they will never be worn again. I thought about breaking them out again this year, but
Did y'all win that game?
we did.
Of course.
We won that
Look
game.
good, play good.
Yeah, hell yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
that's what
Facts.
people were saying too, like,
Look good, play good.
she's wearing all this. They even win. Yeah, we did.
Yeah, as a matter of fact.
Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it.
You know, so I want to touch base. You know, you get to. In fact, here I got a better idea. You two, how long have you been working together now?
We've been married for about 2 years now.
Oh, okay.
2 years.
Zach, what were your first impressions of Sydney? You knew who she was.
Right answers
Sorry.
only.
Yeah. I like
Tread
just
carefully.
meeting her. She's super friendly and nice, which like I hope you would be on the first day. But I remember we had an individual that day. And she gets out there. I'm like, all right, let's see if she can actually coach or if she's just like a former player that got hooked up with the job.
Yeah,
because that usually happens a lot.
Sure, I can see that.
And we got there. I'm like, all right, let's see the Sydney Carter show. And within like 2 seconds of her whipping the group together, I was like, okay, she's real deal. Like all my preconceived notions of like who this big time whatever person is, I'm like, okay, it checks out. She can actually flat out coach.
Hell yeah.
And the more I get to know her and know how much she knows about the game and the presence she demands when she's out there, like I joke about when she says something, everyone whips their head around, but it's true. She'll make one comment in practice and then everyone's doing the thing she said. But yeah, that was definitely my first impression.
What are some things that you've learned from just being around her?
I think like I get along with people. We always just call it like being dogs. And
hell yeah.
I know Sydney is like, the ultimate goal that week is to win the next game up. And she's not going to leave any stone unturned in that process. If that means watching a game from 4 years ago because of something she noticed in a previous game, like she's going to do that. And she'll get there early, stay late, like all the stuff you hear about, but like she
does that.
Like we don't have any kids in town, and she's in there working today. And it's like, okay, that's part of the thing. And I feel like if I get to work with people that are on the same page like that, it's a lot easier to put in those hours when like, I know if I go upstairs, Sydney's going to be there rattling away on her keyboards.
With the nails.
Exactly.
All right, Sydney, it's your turn. So when you first met Zach, what were your first impressions? What was your first experience meeting him?
Well, one, I could tell Zach knew the difference between being cool with the kids and getting the best out of them. That was the first thing I noticed. And then obviously like his personality. Like Zach is the type of person you cannot live without. Like when you go to work, you're happy that you work with Zach.
Let's go.
That is taken for granted because not everybody is like that. And then, like Zach is a completely the same on the court and off the court. Like when I go hang out with Zach, like I know that I'm going to get comedy hour.
Yeah.
When I go to work, I know that I'm going to get comedy hour. Like Zach is just somebody where you know that you can go to, and he's not just going to tell you what you want to hear because he thinks it's what you want to hear.
Nice.
Keep it real
like
around here.
He's a real one. Like you hear that term thrown out all the time. Like I want to hang with real ones. Zach's a real one.
Zach's a real one.
In every form of life, Zach's a real one.
Try to tell you, Tim. Try to tell you.
Keep him around. You'll go places.
I love that so much. Can we, I want to know, from the day you set foot, or actually, let me back up because I want to ask this before we get into more Texas stuff. Okay. So you had your time as a player.
Yep.
Okay. And you've done your damn time as a coach too. Mm-hmm. What are the things that you've learned as a coach that you would have imparted on your younger self as a player?
I think what Zach touched on, the detail. Like I was very show up to the game. I'm going to play my hardest. Mm-hmm. It'll be enough. Mm-hmm. I think if I would have gone the extra mile and done what I do now and really study my opponents to like down to the T of like how the coaches scout. She likes a one dribble pull up going left. Her go-to move is a cross jab to the rim, going right. Those are the types of things that Dennis Rodman did the best. Like he was studying where the ball came off of the rim.
I remember he said, you remember on the documentary, he's like, hey, the ball sometimes, it's going here. And then yeah. That's
what I wish that I took part in as a player that I do as a coach. Like Zach said, I went back when I was scouting Texas Tech. I was doing inbounds and sideline for them this year. She ran a play before I was even coaching here, and I was like, let me go back to that film. I saw the play. She runs it in the game this year. Didn't even run it last year when we were here.
Let's go.
But she ran it this year. And I was like, I gotta do my due diligence. And so that's how detailed I am, and I was not that detailed as a player.
So follow-up question to that. I think I picked up something. Maybe, maybe not.
Am I picking up what you're putting down right now?
Is the reason that or is part of the reason why you put such a premium and attention to detail now today, because you look back and you know that like if I had done this when I was playing, the trajectory of my career might have looked a little different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you have to learn, and I learned from that time because when I was a pro, I paid a little bit more attention than I did in college because that's your livelihood now. That's how you eat.
Right. It's a little different. NIL wasn't popping.
Right. And like you're not going to be, it's likely you won't be the most athletic. You're not going to be the best when you go to the pros. And so, like I said, when I was a player, I was like, okay, what can I do to separate myself? So now I had to start learning the game and thinking the game differently. IQ had to be better than athleticism at that point. And so, I learned from that as a collegiate and a pro player. And now it's like, it's just what I do now. I can't help myself. I'm like obsessive during season.
So what advice, because like the players we get, like they're super physically gifted. Like what would be some advice everyone talks about? You need to know IQ. What are some stuff if I'm a high school or college athlete that I can do to work on my IQ besides just like watching film?
Well, I think you have to realize, like, align yourself with people that really are invested in your career and not just saying, all right, let's get out here and do some skills work. Like, there's a lot of people that just focus on, like, okay, they got to learn how to dribble. But, like, if you're dribbling 20 times in one outing, like, you're not getting to the rim, how are we advancing the game? Mm-hmm. And so when you are teaching someone in skills, I think you have to tell them why, so that they can understand, why am I doing this move? Why am I shooting this shot instead of, a step back? Mm-hmm. How can you keep the game simple? A lot of people try to make the game hard. Like, basketball is so simple, and it doesn't take all these different things, but kids these days need to know why they're doing something instead of just telling them, all right, I want you to do this. They need to understand why you're telling them to do it, so that they know you know what you're talking about. And then that's how they can learn the game, because now they're like, in a game, when somebody's playing them a certain way, they know they don't even have to think about it. Now it becomes just a thing where it's like, okay, it's reactionary now because you've told me this is why I'm doing this move at this time. Mm-hmm. And now they know the game, and now they can react.
Can I ask you a super nerdy strength coach question?
Glasses on.
All right. Something that over the past, I'll call it 10, 15 years, early specialization where kids don't play a lot of different sports. They start playing one sport specifically, mm-hmm. particularly with hoopers. However, I would assume you and I are pretty close in age, and it was much more normal to...
You're in your 20s like me?
That's right. Uh-huh. It was normal to play multiple sports
yep.
and have a lot of exposure to a lot of different things. When kids get to you at Texas, is it easy for you to identify quickly the kids who've had a lot of exposure to a lot of athleticism? And
100%.
Yeah. It sticks out like a sore thumb, don't it?
Yes.
How do you overcome that though?
Zach?
Fix this.
Oh, Zach.
Zach, we got one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, literally, you call Zach up. I mean, I think that's more of a Zach question, because
yeah.
when you get them, like, you have only a certain amount of time to be able to work with them. Like, there's so many time constraints. Like, there's time constraints during season.
Totally.
There's a certain amount of days you can work with them. So, like,
I didn't
you got to really
honestly
get to the
consider
nitty-gritty.
that.
Yeah. So Zach's on call.
Yeah, I have
all the
the
time.
most time out of the year out of anybody. And so what Sydney and I do, which is kind of cool, and you don't see this a lot of places, is usually strength coach. I hand them off to the coaches and they do whatever they want. But Sydney does all their individuals and player development work.
Yep.
So we can sit down and she can show me stuff on film that they're not very good at.
Interesting.
And then I can be like, okay, we can tweak it this way. And then when she sets up their individual, I'm like, well, put them in this type of position, see, if they work better. But like all her stuff, like she talked about, like you go to most skill stuff you see on the internet and it's guys dribbling between the legs 20 times and then spinning around and not going anywhere. Mm-hmm. And all the stuff she does are like, here's your position. This is the type of player that you are.
Yep.
Here's the shots you need to make at this part in our offense. And so we're going to work on that over and over. I know it's groundbreaking, but you don't see that everywhere. I've been to a lot of places and they don't do that.
Yeah.
What are some ways that have like kind of retaught your way? Because I'm sure you grew up in the time of dribble ball between your legs a million times. Like, what was the big aha moment when you're like, I need to switch individuals so it's actually pertinent to what we're trying to do?
I would have to say it didn't come to when I was a pro, because when you're in college, like everybody, like I say, it's limited time. So you're working so much with the coaches. And so they only have so much time to work with you on certain things. And so I wasn't even a good ball handler like I was when I was a pro. But that's when I really started to realize, like, okay, I need to focus on the things, my game. Like, what am I good at? The summertime, if I'm not playing in the WNBA, is my time to start, trying to tweak things that I'm not good at. But I got to really start to get great at the things that I'm good at. And so when I was a pro, it was like, I don't have time to waste. Like, overseas coming, and I need to be averaging 30.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I need to be a walking bucket.
Yeah.
Let's freaking go. You guys were talking about how you guys have such a good relationship and you're able to sit down and you can go to Zach and say, hey, she just ain't able to do this thing.
Yeah.
Or she's not doing it good enough.
Yeah.
Do you guys have an example? No, you don't have to name drop, but an example where an athlete isn't able to get into a position or there is a physical limitation and how you guys coordinated on that?
Yeah, I think for us, the big thing, it's like we're known for our defense. And so when people are out of position or not fast enough on defense, we look at it, she'll come to me and be like, can this particular athlete get in this position? And I'm like, yeah, we do all these different things. Like, watch her next time we do it, she can get in the position. So it's not a physical thing. It's more of like a mental.
It's an effort
technique.
or mental thing, perhaps?
Or technique type thing.
Yeah, okay.
And then it could be one of those where Sydney's like, I need her to get in that position. I was like, yeah, she can't because XYZ, we're working on it.
Yeah.
Got it.
But
I mean, Zach is very detailed to the point where, like, when we're doing morning workouts, Zach, the first time I came here and Zach was having him come off the ground and like run, I was like, what are we doing? Like, I'm not gonna lie, I was questioning.
Yeah.
But then you see in a game, a kid falls down and it takes them 30 minutes to get up. And
literally, I've seen some hoopers. I'm like, man, get up, get down. They need you down there.
But Zach is working on that when he's teaching them how to get up and explode out of the on the ground position.
Yeah.
So that's how
So
detailed
cool.
he is. Or if it's like, I'm like, a kick is not, her hands aren't strong. And I'm like, Zach, what can you do in the weight room that can work on her fingertips, catching the ball? Can she do stuff with the medicine ball? You know, lat pulled out, whatever. I'm not in the weight room, but
We bounce
those are the
ideas off
types
each
of
other.
things. Yeah, those are the types of things where I'm like, she can't catch. What can you do? She's not moving good laterally. What can you do? What are the things that we can work on so that I can put her in a position in a workout to make sure that I'm working on the things now that you're working on in the weight room?
And it gives more buy-in for on my end, because if they know they're keep addressing the same thing with their defensive stance or whatever, and then I
Right.
can come to the kid and be like, hey, you know how you got yelled at for 3 hours
Hey,
yesterday?
remember? Remember that time you had a bad time in practice?
Yeah, this is to help you work on your stance. And so it's like, oh, they're actually talking. They actually care about our whole development. Like, he's not just trying to make me strong for the hell of it.
Yeah.
Right.
But no, it's good to have someone who is open to having that conversation. Like most people, it's like, this is my court, my room, this is weight room, this is my room.
Yeah, that's right.
Figure it out.
Stay in the weight room, buddy. Listen, why don't you go pick something up and put it back down?
Yeah.
She tells me that too sometimes.
Yeah. It's on my nerves.
Can we transition? I want to know more about the things that you've done outside of basketball.
Yeah.
And let's just start like 50,000 feet out. What all you got going on? Because I know you got some stuff going on.
Yeah. I mean, so I had my clothing line with Amazon.
The Carter collection.
There's so many things.
What's the name for our fans and listeners?
Well, it was just with Amazon the drop. So it was
Got it.
Coach Sid Carter times Amazon the
Dope.
drop. Gosh, what else, Zach? I tell you.
I
the whole
mean,
thing.
what are some recent shows you've been on?
So I was just on the Tamron Hall show.
Dang.
I did Angela Yee's podcast in New York.
Girl.
I was also on the news that morning in New York. So I did a full media sprint in New York.
Super Bowl?
Super Bowl, I did something on social media for.
When you got enough stuff going on that you forget all the stuff you got going
I know.
on, girl,
Because
you're
I
doing
have
it.
so many thoughts about what's to
You're
come.
doing it.
So I have like my agent and I, we're always talking like I want to have my own book. We were thinking about dropping a children's book. Like there's so many things that I have in my mind about like what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want to have a clothing line like in Target and Walmart and all like those major retail stores. So like there's things in play. They haven't come to life yet, but they're in play. And so
Is there any one thing in particular that like you've got your heart and mind set on?
yeah, I mean, I really want to write a book and I really want to have my own suit line so that coaches and not just anybody, but I want an affordable line because there's so many like D2, D3, junior college, like a lot of people that hit me up and they're like, I want to dress like you.
Yeah.
And so I want to have a line and I want to start a foundation where I can continue to give back and like donate clothes and do all these things so that people can feel like, okay, I'm just like Coach Carter today. Like I'm her today. Like that's what I want.
That's what the brand should be called. I'm her.
Yeah.
Hold on
I
now.
also want to.
Yeah, work on it.
Can we drop
Hold
that down?
on.
Yeah. Is that
Hold
trademark
on.
yet?
I feel like I'm gonna have to pay them if I end up. I also want to start something. My personal assistant here, but I want to start something called Beyond the Bench,
Okay.
and it basically tells my life about what I do outside of basketball as well as within the lines. But I eventually wanted to be a podcast, but I'm not going to just label it as just a podcast. Like I want it to be all the things. Like there's going to be BTS of me at the ESPYs and doing photo shoots for the magazine covers I do. Like forgot to mention that I'm on like several magazine covers.
Dude, she does all this and coaches at an incredibly high level. It's unbelievable.
So, this question was a setup. Okay. It was.
I feel set up.
So the reason I proposed that question and I wanted to give you an opportunity to touch on those things is because what's fascinating to me and impressive and frankly inspiring is how driven you are with the success you've had personally and professionally in basketball to continue onward and upward in other areas and aspects of your life. Why are you doing it?
Because I can have it all.
Let's go. That's the quote of the. Damn it! That's the best quote we've had on this podcast.
Why not? Why not have the best of everything that you want?
Yeah.
Why not go and take everything you want? Like if it's being presented to you, you know that you've been equipped with the tools to be successful in all the things coming your way. Then go take it. Like that's just my mindset.
So something that I struggled with personally in building my own brand and putting content out and starting this podcast and all the ventures that I've had, what precedes that is like, particularly in the very beginning, is like uncertainty, fear that it's not going to work out. My experience has been, it's like you just got to start taking action towards that. But for someone who's out there, who's listening to this, who's saying to themselves, I've got this dream, I've got this aspiration, I've got this thing that I want to accomplish, where do they start?
Well, I heard you say, I've got all these, like, what if it doesn't work out? What if it does?
Yeah, facts.
Start with that. Like, being negative never gets you anywhere. It takes you down, actually.
Yeah.
But start thinking about, like what I said, if this opportunity came to you, if this is your dream, do you think that this dream would have been put on your heart if you were not meant to do it, if you were not equipped to do it? So just start with the mindset of, it's been put on my heart. So now ask, what do I need to do to go get it? Align yourself with the right people that have the right mindset. Like Zach, tooting his horn right now, but like, Zach is somebody that I know at the end of the day, we're on the same page because we want to win and we're going to do what it takes to win. So I'm aligning myself with Zach and I'm choosing to align myself with him every day. Align yourself with the right people and then go take it. Don't expect something to be given to you. You have to go and take the things that you want. They've been given to you as far as being presented.
Right.
Go take it.
Yeah.
Whenever our team leaves the locker room to go play, you just hear this, go take it, go take it.
Man.
It's heard
It's squeaky
jumping
too.
out of there.
He put that on a lot of branding ideas coming out of this podcast. You know what else? So you mentioned when something's been put on your heart or you've got the itch to explore something. This this came to me because it's been part of my experience too, is like maybe that thing, maybe success in that thing and the way you think it's going to look isn't the point.
No.
Because a lot of things in my life that I thought, okay, it's on my heart, and I start putting a lot of time and effort into it, and then life shows up or at 180s. But it always, every time it's led me to something way bigger and better than I ever could have figured out on my own. But if I didn't take those steps initially to start moving towards what now you could say was the wrong direction, but actually was the right direction, because if it weren't for me taking that action there, I don't end up all the way over here.
Yeah. I think when you are on the right track, when you've got this thing and you are taking all the necessary steps to get it done, and then something all of a sudden left field comes and it's like throws a wrench in it.
Right.
That's when you know you're on the right track, because success, people don't want to see it.
Yeah.
because it's like, I want to do that first, or there's a lot of hating going on. That's when you know that you're on the right track to do what you're supposed to do, because that's what happened in the pink pants.
Yeah.
The pink pants happened. That was me working towards like my dream of wanting to do fashion. Like I said, I always had that dream. And then negativity came in. And then I said, okay, forget that. We moving on to the positive part. And it's turned into all of this. So that's the lesson in all that. When you're doing the right thing, something negative is going to come your way. That doesn't mean that it's not the right place to go.
It's true. You see it all the time. Like, everybody roots for you when you're the underdog.
Yeah.
Then when you've made it, there's less and less people rooting.
It's so true.
It's crazy. I'm not there yet, but I've heard.
Yeah.
I think I'm there.
Yeah, you are. You done did it. You now the beauty of that though is just, and of course this is an outside perspective, but you're in this really wonderful place where like you're at this mountain peak, but it's not necessarily your mountaintop.
Correct.
You know, but you've done the necessary work to place yourself in a position to explore even bigger and better potential opportunities, and you've got the flexibility to kind of pick and choose. You know what I mean? What a blessing.
I know. I am very blessed. I don't take it for granted.
I got a question for you.
I got an answer for you.
So, knowing you, like, you're very confident and very secure with like who you are. Like, if there's something you don't want to do, you don't do it. Like, you're very confident and secure with yourself. Was it always like that, or is that something you've kind of grown into, or like, where'd you learn that from?
No, I think I grew into it. When I was younger, because I had so many sisters, they were all like really pris and everything, and I thought I was the ugly sister. And so a lot of people don't know that. But I think as time went on, I realized, like I said, my self-worth in the time that, because I still had those insecurities kind of when I was in college. I was confident, but I wasn't in totality. When I started dealing with the rejection in the pro world, that's when I got confidence out of the wazoo. And I was just like, you know what? Like, I would look at myself without makeup on. I even had like skin issues as I was growing up, you know, just due to like hormonal changes.
Of course.
And I still looked at myself and, you know, I was like, I'm beautiful. So I started telling myself that, and then you start believing it, because you tell yourself that every day. So I'm a big affirmation gal.
I was just about to say, are you?
affirmations.
Yes, big shout out to
I
affirmations.
talk to my dog and tell her that she's beautiful, and she believes it.
What kind of dog is it?
A golden doodle.
Oh, okay, all right, here we go.
He peed on Zach one day.
Picked her up first day I got her.
Kidding.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like, why is my pants on? And then I lifted her up and she's like howling, laughing. I'm like, you're done with this dog.
Yeah.
So Charlie and I have had beef since.
Charlie,
day one.
his name's Charlie.
Yeah.
It's a her.
Her,
It's a
Charlie dog.
with no E.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's an I.
that's a very pretty
Yes.
Charlie.
Classy.
That is.
And she
classy.
wears clothes.
Yeah.
Like her mom.
She's a fashion line.
No, time out now. I'm just saying, is
She
there?
matches me for game day.
Stop.
That's how to a T we are.
You got to come out with a.
A dog line is on the table. I'm telling you, this is not a joke. I told my agent, we got to start a dog.
Listen, my mom has got a Yorkie who needs some fashion advice.
Some fits.
Okay, my mom, she's dressing her up, but it ain't hitting. She's not she don't put that on for real. Yes, she needs some help.
So let's take a global look at women's basketball. I'd say this is the first year where people are finally getting with the program and realizing how awesome the women's game is. What do you think has contributed to that, and why do you think it's taken off so quick?
You know, this generation has always been like, I don't care, I'm doing me. Now they're doing it in sports, and it's popping. People want to get on what's popping. It's what have you done for me lately? And the women's game is doing so much for everyone lately. And so that's why you see so many people coming to the game, because it is exciting. Like Caitlin Clark is exciting, and Reese, exciting. South Carolina's whole team,
crazy.
Exciting. UCLA, exciting. Our team, exciting. Women's basketball is exciting.
Yeah.
And so now you have so many people like tuning in, and it's great because the product now, along with the attitude of I'm taking everything I'm coming for. Like, that's the mentality of the world nowadays, is I'm taking. And these kids are giving and taking. They just don't realize it. Or maybe they do. But they're giving so much to the women's game because they're showing the transition of like when I played to now, like people wasn't shooting threes way out there
No, it's-
when I was playing.
Yeah, game's different.
Yeah.
You know what else? I'm just something that came to mind. So Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, they were chirping at each other, whatever. And I remember it was a big deal. People
Yep.
got all bent out of shape
Yep.
about, and I couldn't help but think, I'm like, have y'all watched that when that happens in the man's game?
Right.
Nobody says a
Right.
not a word.
Yeah.
But what made me happy about seeing that is like, I want the shift to happen where it's like the women's game has the freedom to do that same stuff.
Yeah.
And it not get posted all over Twitter.
Correct. Because they are posting it as something negative. Like they're
That's
like,
crazy to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not a negative thing. It's basketball. It's
They're competitive. Yeah.
I'm just
They
like,
love the game.
whoever wrote this to just try and get some clicks.
Yeah.
They did not play sports.
Yeah.
And if they did, it wasn't at a high level.
Yeah. Yeah, they love the game. Like I can't tell you, I wasn't talking stuff when I was in college either. Like I didn't talk all the time. I let my game do the talking.
Right.
But still.
See, I like
there
to
was times where I had my team's back. Like if
Yup.
a teammate got into it with somebody or something, like I was chirping. Mm-hmm. But that's just what it is. Like we've seen that with, when the Detroit Pistons
Right.
were playing the Chicago Bulls back in the day.
different
See,
story.
that might have
Alice
been
at the Palace.
right.
Yeah.
That might have been some real deal animosity. Because you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like
Yeah.
when you're a real competitor, you can chirp and because you've poured your heart and soul into this, and y'all can have an exchange, and it might not be the friendliest thing, but as competitors, and she touched on it,
You get it.
it's all love.
Yes.
At the end of the day, I'm trying to win.
Yes.
And which I play pickup basketball at LA
Hoops
Fitness.
All-Star.
I'm chirping, bro. I'm chirping. I'm going to let you know. You just got off work. You work 9 hours
Come
at
get
your
these
office job.
buckets.
I'm letting you know. I am. It's part of the game.
Practicing your game instead of
Yeah, that's right. It's like, oh, look at me. I'm doing spreadsheets. I have a real job. Get out of
Jump
here.
shot. Boom.
Oh, I don't know how we got here. I'm sorry I derailed us.
I think we need to get into the little rant and rave out.
Oh, we do, don't we? Oh, I got to ask this question.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
It's actually 2 questions.
Okay.
All right. So the first one, what from your playing and coaching career has translated to entrepreneurship?
The work ethic and drive.
Yeah.
Like you can't be an entrepreneur and not have a go get it mentality.
Yeah.
So like it's like a hustle. Every day is a hustle.
Straight up.
And you gotta do things you don't want to do a lot of the times. Like there's a lot of times I'm waking up like, I gotta record a video of every single part of my day today for content.
Right.
And I gotta have the camera in my face. It's hard. My personal assistant's here. She can tell you she wants to kill herself after.
I don't want to make the video.
Yeah.
All right.
But I had to do it.
Yeah.
And so, it's so many days. If there's days I don't show up to work and because I don't feel like it, I'm never going to be successful.
Yep.
Like there's going to be a lot of days I don't feel good, but like you just got to do it. And so that's what an entrepreneur is.
So, and then vice versa. So what has entrepreneurship, has brand building taught you about coaching?
Ooh. I think it's taught me more about how to teach people. Like having the
Nice.
patience with yourself, giving yourself grace.
Yeah.
Because you are going to be in an arena that you're not comfortable in a lot of times. But how can you give yourself grace so that you can continue to be successful? Because I cannot operate within negativity. Like,
Yeah.
that box is just not for me. I have to be in the right headspace. I have to, like I said, give myself affirmation. So like I have to realize I have to be patient with myself and understand that it is a process. Like things are a process. And so that's what it's taught me, towards coaching. Like give people grace.
Nice.
And then players, you have to give yourself grace, especially like when you're a newcomer coming in. Like you're a freshman, you're learning something completely different. Give yourself some grace. Like it's
going to be hard.
yeah, it's
going
gonna
to
be hard.
Okay.
Then with entrepreneurship, everyone talks about building a brand. And usually when some people want to build a brand, they, I'm going to release this and have it very calculated. Yours just kind of threw at you one morning. How'd you go about building that brand, and what are some of the challenges with continuing to elevate your brand?
Well, I stayed true to myself for one. Like I was like, I don't feel the pressure to try to keep up with anything. Like
Nice.
it's gonna be me. But I think the other thing was aligning myself with people that have the same morals and values that I have. Like I did. Oh, I forgot to say I did the Marriott campaign.
That's
for
what I said.
AA. You said it?
Yeah.
My bad.
Okay, all right.
Sorry.
Too many deals.
Too many deal.
Calls are out. But Marriott understood me from day one. Not that no other company did, but I knew it was easy for me to align myself with Marriott because we had the same things in mind.
Sure.
Not like anything monetary, anything like that, but like the message they wanted to send is the message that I aligned myself with. So I think that that's the biggest thing when you're building a brand is, are you just doing social content for a brand and you don't even like how it tastes or
Right.
something? Like, that's not what my brand is built on. My brand is built on staying true to myself and not apologizing for it.
Right.
Like, this is me, period.
I like that. What's some advice you would give to like a younger coach or person in general who's trying to build their brand?
I think just that. Like, do not allow those types of situations to make you lose yourself. Do not compromise yourself for a brand or for a coaching job, or, you know, hopefully people don't develop the God complex,
Right.
you know, where you feel like all of a sudden you can control the weather.
Yeah.
Do not allow it to change you, because the minute you do that, now you're an imposter.
Totally.
And so now you don't even know what your brand is, because now you've gone so far away from who you really are.
It's
So
death by
just-
1,000 cuts too, right?
Yes.
Like you make one little compromise.
Yes.
And then the next thing you know, you wind up at this place and you don't even recognize who you are, what you got
Exactly.
going on. And the only, you know, outside of brand building and stuff, other areas and parts of my life, especially in my early 20s, like I've found myself where it's like, oh, I'll let this slip, or oh, I let that slide. And then I look at this place and I'm like, damn, I don't like where I'm at.
Yeah.
And, you know, when it comes to brand building, you don't really get a second chance.
Correct.
Like that.
It's
You know what I'm
just
saying?
easier to be yourself.
And it is.
To think about that.
Treat-
Yeah,
Put on
and-
an act.
Yeah.
You know what else too? My parting thought on this personally is if you don't like who you are and your the values you align with enough to make it your brand, you got some work to do.
Yeah.
Get back
Some
to work.
soul searching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could
Got to go to Latvia and soul search.
That's right. Zach, I think you're right. Let's get this girl ranting and raving.
Okay, we have a little segment called Rant and Rave. Rant, you're going to rant about the topic we give you, and then rave about
Okay.
it. Pretty easy. Let's say just the state of women's college basketball. What rant would you like to give about women's college basketball?
Well, I would like to say to keep supporting women's basketball. Like, this
Don't
is
be no
not-
fair weather fan.
Correct. This is not just a moment.
Right.
You know, like women's basketball has always been exciting. So continue to support, whether it's WNBA or NCAA, whatever it is, continue to support it, because you can see the lengths that that can be taken to with the right support and,
Totally.
and with people really investing in the game. Like, all of a sudden they got flights now. They found flights in midair.
Isn't that funny how that happens?
Couldn't charter forever. Yeah, for people that don't know, WNBA had to fly commercial to their games.
Yeah.
Southwest flight,
I can remember
Spirit Airlines, whatever.
in Connecticut, and you played in Uncasville at Mohegan Sun, and then you had to go to Hartford to catch the flight, and we were so delayed going to a flight, we almost had to sleep in the airport. And then we ended up catching a flight, getting there, and then had to play a game.
That's crazy.
It was a mess. And then coming back in the airport, flight delayed, so we're all laying. I have a video of laying on our bags.
Pro team.
This is a professional
Yes, in
team.
the airport. Yeah. So, you know, I just think keep investing and supporting women's basketball, because there's still more, like, even after the people we've seen now, there's more exciting players coming. We got
Absolutely.
Madison Booker here, who's exciting. You know, USC's got Juju Watkins. There's plenty of exciting women's basketball players to connect yourself to. So keep supporting the women's game.
And then what would you like to rave about?
Anything or women's
Anything. Let's go
basketball?
anything.
Anything that you're seeing right now in branding, entrepreneur space, or women's basketball that you're like, man, I want to see more of this.
Well, I want to see more of women behind the women. By that, I mean more women that are helping to elevate the game that you don't see out there like you see me all the time. But
Right.
like, you don't see my personal assistant who's sewing me up before
Right.
games. You don't see my agent a lot in the front lines. You don't see my publicist. You don't see all the journalists that are helping elevate the game and telling good stories. I want to see more of that. Like, I want to see more of people saying thank you. Because that is a thankless job at times. It's not
Totally.
for me. I tell my people thank you all the time.
Right.
I tell them how much I appreciate them. I want to see more appreciation out loud for those people.
I love that.
I'm a girl's girl.
I
Girls,
see that.
girl.
I see that. What are 3 things that someone can do to get to where you're at today?
You can be confident. You can be yourself. And you can work your tail off.
Let's go.
Work it off.
That was incredible.
Work it off.
Work it off.
There's no tail left at the end of that. You've worked it off.
That's perfect. You want to get unsolicited?
Yeah. So let's say we'll use Mia as an example. Hello, Mia. You just see Mia in the hallway. Give her some unsolicited advice that should help her in her future. Just anything.
It can be about anything, any topic. You could be just passing somebody. You're at the park. You're taking Charlie for a walk. Charlie's doing her business. Someone's walking past you, and you just lean over and say, "Hey." Boom.
I got 2 things.
All right,
Boom.
here we go.
1, don't be a hater.
Hey.
Okay? And 2, brush your teeth in the morning and night, and don't forget the tongue.
That's that. All viewers at home, please do that.
Honestly,
Please.
hey, shout out to toothbrushes.
Yeah.
And
Honestly.
get an electric one, please.
Yeah, come on. Don't skimp on the oral hygiene.
You need your teeth.
Get that part right. There's a lot of things you can get wrong in this world. Don't let that
Brush
be
your
one of
teeth
them.
before early morning workouts, please.
Yeah. No, okay, but really, this is another one. If you don't comb your hair before you go to work or something, then I'm going to assume you're not prepared for the day. So prepare for the day.
Brush your teeth, comb your hair.
Yes, just
do
keep
that.
up.
Yeah, dang.
Get real and keep up.
I like that. I like that.
Sydney, this is one of the funnest pods we've done. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
Real quick, before we wrap things up here, where can people find you?
Everywhere. You can find me on Instagram at Coach Sid Carter 4. Find me on Twitter, Sydney_Renee with 1 E. TikTok is, I think, Sid Carter 4.
At the home
I have
games.
Facebook. I have a Facebook. I think it's just my name. I don't even know. She's on it. Not
We
me.
can link all this stuff
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. Catch me on the ESPY's red carpet.
Hey.
July 11th.
And watch women's basketball and
Thank
watch
you.
Texas women's
Thank
basketball.
you.
Watch them do their
That's
thing.
first and foremost. Watch Texas women's basketball. We're in the SEC now. We're on
Let's
TV.
go.
Let's
Let's
get it.
go.
Sydney, thank you so much for being here. Everybody listening and watching, thank you for your support. We'll catch you next time.